Hello, today we can talk about a new market, very exciting opportunities going on. And I don't say this too often. This is Seewing and my co-host is Richard at Vanny. Many of you have been following my channel. You've been following my website. Richard and I have gone for more than a decade. We have a very good team chemistry. When my network have referred Richard and his company a lot of clients to do the financing all over the US for the past 10 years. Richard have something really great to go over. It'll be an exciting journey. So without further ado, Richard, just go ahead and share with the audience what you're doing. It's very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Normally, I'm here sharing with you guys from a finance perspective. Today, I'm sharing with you about a new market that I've introduced Seewing to as well, that has properties on the ground ready to go today and properties at a price point that people won't even believe. The area is in Oklahoma and the suburbs around Oklahoma. I'm in St. Louis right now. I just spent a week with the particular builder that I'm working with and went and visited all of the towns that they're building in, met with city managers, met with people at the school districts and so forth. And the model that this builder is going after is not only interesting, but I think is very conducive to cash flow, which we're all interested in as investors. But it's going after that affordable housing market. More importantly, going after rural America, right? Rural America, where a lot of the affordable housing obviously needs are, hasn't had any attention in the last 20 years, 30 years, and even 40 years. And there's a lot of these communities in rural Oklahoma that haven't had a new construction home built in 40 years, 50 years, right? And what's happening is as these towns start to grow and as they build new schools and expand their school districts, we're talking to one of the people in the school district, and they're saying how they built this new school. And I went and looked at the facility. It's beautiful. And they signed contracts with all these new teachers coming in. 3 months leading up to the school season, all of these teachers started dropping out because there was no housing to be found. Once again, nothing built in the last 30 or 40 years, but also not a lot of it renovated or touched in the last 30 or 40 years, the inventory that was available. They lost teachers, and the impact to these small rural towns of coming in with new housing inventory is going to be huge for them. So it allows us as investors to come in and purchase properties at very attractive price points in areas that are actively gentrifying as well, and in areas where there's a lot of the municipality and community support around what the builder's doing. And a decade ago, I bought properties in rural Oklahoma. It's not rural today, places like Mustang and Norman and out there. And much of what I bought that was on the outskirts of town. Now it's almost in the middle of town, right? The problem is you can't buy an Edmond and Mustang and an OKC proper anymore as an investor because homes are 350, 400,000, and the rents quite haven't moved up with it. Same story in most markets, right? What was interesting about this affordable housing product that this particular builder is building, he's definitely doing duplexes, which is great, but he's building these single family homes. We're essentially calling them cottages. 2 bedrooms, 2 bath, granite countertops in the kitchen and bathrooms, really actually open layout. So as I mentioned, I went and I actually spent a week in Oklahoma. I went to all the build sites, pre-construction, post-construction, places that are already sold and rented out, just so I can get a feel of the areas and what's been happening there. And it was crazy, these 850, 880 square foot homes, the layout of them was phenomenal, right? They didn't feel like a small home. They're essentially like, imagine renting a brand new apartment with all those features and finishes and a modern feel to it, but you actually have a little backyard and you're a freestanding house. Now, the amazing thing was, and then when I first heard about this, I said, hey, I need to go down there and see it and touch it and feel it, because I was shocked by what I was hearing. And what that was, and you guys will hear it right now too, is these single family homes, brand new construction, $150,000, and they rent for $1,250 a month. And that's, Oklahoma doesn't have high property taxes. It doesn't have high insurance on these properties, and they're new construction. So generally you have much lower rates on those types of properties anyways, but 150,000 renting at 1250. I was like, that's unheard of. Brand new home. Like, where are these homes and how are you able to do it so cheaply? And what do they look like? What does that finished product look like? And going there and once again, putting my hands on them was shocking. I know you probably want to add something there, Seewing.
In a way, I am shocked and surprised, Richard, but in a way I'm not, because you know me for a while, you know my business model. Over the years, we have entered as a user network, what we call it emerging market, path of growth, ahead of the curve. I could see this coming. You and I are ahead of the curve. We know what real estate investors want. My summary is we are moving into the new frontier because all the trophy markets that you and I have been accustomed to and all the investors over the past decade, we're talking about Florida, the trophy markets of Southwest Florida, Orlando, Tampa, and in Texas, Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio, and Austin. Those markets over the past few years have skyrocketed home prices, and consequently, you cannot cash flow anymore because of today's high mortgage rates. You can't cash flow, and also the Midwest. I know the Midwest market is still doing okay, but the Midwest market is all older homes, 50, 60, 70, 100-year-old homes, very cheap. It's a cash flow market, don't get me wrong, but I'm not surprised that you're promoting this. I knew this was going to happen. Your vision and my vision are the same. We need to penetrate into the sub-market, real sub-market. Years ago, thought of it, like you said, it's a rural market, but no more. We look at the migration. You and I have done a lot of research. You have more than 20 properties spread across the U.S., mainly in the Midwest and the South and Southeast. You know where the path of growth. I know where the path of growth. That's our respective business models. No doubt you are entering into a sub-market, into the rural, into an emerging market, exciting future, all the amenities. So go on. I hate to.
No, and you hit the nail on the head. And what's cool about this, it's a little bit of a different strategy, right? Normally, we're, of course, look, we all want to purchase in growing markets, and I do, and most of the markets we recommend are emerging and growing markets. I would almost call this model that this builder is doing not necessarily growing and emerging markets. They're more support markets to the metros, right? These properties I'm talking about are a 20-minute, 30-minute drive to OKC proper, but also a lot of them are being built right near a military base, which we'll share more details with you guys on that when you reach out on an individual basis. But a lot of developments are being built right near a military base outside of Oklahoma. That area is gentrifying and it is growing, and there's a lot of expansion happening at the base. So the local town and the military housing director has a big push right now for establishing housing. So that's one of the really cool secrets, the plan within this rural plan. But what's super cool is, that rural model, right? When we talk about the national housing inventory shortage, a very big portion of that is the affordable housing. And the houses that we were buying it as investors, 250, 280 now, are pushing upwards of 400,000. That's not the affordable housing gap that there is anymore, right? The gap is a little different now. The gap right now is for these even lower and underserved communities. Now, does that mean that there's an infinite number of builds that this builder can do in these communities? No, it doesn't, right? It's a little bit of a different strategy. They're going to build to serve the needs of the community that are currently underserved, right? And how does that happen? It happens with conjunction and communication with the municipality and city leaders, with the local real estate agents and teams, with the local bankers. And I went there in my RV. I'm actually sitting in my RV right now in Missouri. I went and spent a week in Oklahoma because although hearing the rural model, it sounds like it makes sense, right? It makes sense. There's a need there. But you have to understand and trust where the data is coming from, right? That okay, it's underserved, but how do I know it's underserved, right? How do I know that building these homes or buying these homes is going to make sense and is actually going to rent out and is going to be a good investment? Well, and that's why I went there, right? I wanted to be in those meetings with those city municipalities, with the bankers, with the real estate. And the resounding thing I heard from everyone was just how there's such a high demand right now, and how these new construction duplexes or cottages, as we're calling them, are renting super quickly because there's no other product like it in that market, right? Granite, marble, the whole modern lighter cabinet colors and little lighter floors and that modern kind of look. There isn't any of it. So they moved very quickly. And it was very exciting to me because at an entry point of $150,000 for a brand new construction property at 20% down. Normally, most people are putting 25% down in this market, but these properties generate enough cash flow where you can put 20% down. So you're getting $30,000 down on this. I've negotiated a 3% seller credit towards closing costs and free management for 1 year with the builder on these. So you could put 20% down and use that builder 3% credit to help cover some of the closing costs. And so maybe you come out with another 4 or 5 grand total over the above the down payment. So 35 grand. And you could buy a brand new construction, single family rental property in an area that is gentrifying, that is very underserved. And you know what comes with that? What comes with rural America is there isn't tons of moving and shaking going on, right? And that in a lot of ways can be a positive as well, because once again, these are underserved communities. Housing is needed there, right? But you're going to get tenants that are going to be there for 6 years, 8 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. 50 years. A lot of these communities are predominantly rental communities. And we ask people how long they've lived in their homes. It's 30 years. A lot of them rent. So it's really the dream scenario, I think, as an investor, getting a super long-term tenant, getting a new construction asset. I would say these areas, if I was to rate them, and look, you got to be realistic. It's $150,000 brand new home, right? So obviously it's not an A+ area. Right. The areas I would say are C+. They're growing to be B- areas. And what I mean by C+ is you go drive down the street, and I took tons of video when I was out there too. So you guys feel free to reach out to Seewing or myself, and I'll share some of it. But you drive down the street, it's lower blue collar neighborhoods, right? There's no burned down houses, there's no trashed houses. The yards are clean everywhere. From what I heard in some of these markets, like where it's military bases, 2 or 3 years ago, those streets were completely different, right? They were overgrown. There was stuff in the yards, but there's been a huge push in the community and the town and the military base to get everything cleaned up, gentrified, new housing built, and they got new commercial complexes coming in. So anyways, you drive into the house. There's no one standing outside the houses. Everything was well kept. There was not destroyed houses anywhere either. And it was a safe area. But an area that's growing, a rural area that's growing, that serves the military base, that serves the people that serve the military base as well. And actually sitting and meeting with people in the community were, once again, the big point to me. Everyone confirming and reconfirming just the demand that's there. And then seeing how quick every single property that was complete with this builder was already tenant occupied, right? Which is always a good sign as well. They can take you into a property that's 100% done, and there's a lockbox on the door. That means that hasn't moved yet, right? Properties I was going into weren't quite done, which is why they weren't occupied and we had access to them. So yeah, I know, Seewing, you already know, I first invested in Oklahoma a little over a decade ago. I have 4 single family homes here as well. I've helped friends and family probably buy 20 or 30 homes here also. The interesting thing is when we bought these homes 8-10 years ago, new construction, 180,000, 190,000 in the good areas, right? Like Mustang and Edmond. And they were making a 6%, 7% cash on cash. But at the time, and what we were told is, hey, don't expect tons and tons of appreciation out of this market. And here we are 8 years later, the properties now that were 190 are 330, 340. So it has appreciated. But I would realistically plan for 2 to 3% appreciation per year, 2% rent growth. But based on the current cash flow numbers alone, it's pretty untouchable what these properties are generating. But it's exciting to be a part of the development of these rural, but also to have that level of entry point as an investor, brand new construction, good quality home in an area that generates high cash flow. You don't find it, right? None of these high cash flow markets have new construction. They don't. It's turnkey, and turnkey is great. There's a lot of good turnkey providers out there, but no matter how good turnkey is, a home built in the 40s, a home built in the 40s, a home built in 2024 is going to offer quite a bit different experience. So personally, have I built a portfolio of these higher growth, high cash flows? No, right? Most of what I bought are in markets that Seewing and I work with, right? Texas, Florida, and places that offer more growth. But do these offer the balancing effect on a portfolio to get high cash flow, good quality, new construction assets without the downsides typically associated with buying higher cash flow properties, which is deferred maintenance, then being in areas that don't really appreciate and favor landlords. I own properties in Ohio, and once you get on one of those inspectors hit lists, they will come by and just extort money out of you to repair things. Meanwhile, there's a home across the street with no roof on it, with a tarp on it, and they pick out of state investors and they bully them. This community is completely the opposite. And he's building all over Oklahoma, right? Not just in this town at the military base. He's building in Guthrie and in tons of other rural communities that he's at direct contact with the municipality once again. So anyways, the cool thing is these properties are, he's got 30 or 40 under construction, probably 30 or 40 of them done. The model he's been testing for about a year on these cottages, right? 2-bedroom, 2-bath, granite, 875 square feet, no garage, really Gen Z housing, right? Affordable and not quite a tiny house. They're really nice houses, but it's a product that the market is asking for, and they've been doing very well. And it's a very good opportunity. And the cool thing too is, if you want to buy a quad, buy 4 of these. You do the math on it; it's still $600,000 to get 4, but it's essentially like having a quad. And this builder has all kinds of lots available as well, right? You may be able to build 4 side by side, right? A lot of them are built in infill neighborhoods as well. If you don't know what that means, they're established neighborhoods, but they may have a lot or 2 available here and there. And builders will come in and build those lots in the established neighborhoods, which is great. And he also builds neighborhoods of these as well, which also offers its own share of pros. And I think one of the more exciting things is this cottage model is we are going to expand it, right? It's in Oklahoma. It's going to move from OKC to Tulsa, maybe to Little Rock, and some of the surrounding states as well, because it works. It's very easy to get the towns on board, as well as get a clear indication of what level of housing is needed. He's not going to be building here probably 3 years from now because there's not that much demand there, but there is a healthy amount of demand in these underserved communities. And it's been really cool. So last thing I'll wrap on is I went to St. Louis for one of my races, and I'm actually heading back to Oklahoma. I'll be there in 2 days because there was more I needed to see and touch and do there. I visited about 5 communities over 5 days, all day long. And there's about 3 communities that I didn't put my hand on that I want to put my hand on, right? So when our mutual investors ask me, oh, hey, what did you think of Chickasha? Or what did you think of this town where this builder is offering a property? I'll be able to actually say, you know what, I went there. Here are my thoughts. Here's some videos I took when I was there as well, which I really like. It's cool for myself to go back and remember the areas. And not only am I taking media of the immediate neighborhood, it's the drive outside the neighborhood, it's the drive from the next town over, just so people can get a feel of the opportunity available. But yeah, super exciting.
Well, Richard, I know exactly what you're doing, and go in line with my philosophy, with my investors. So any out-of-state turnkey investors, whether you're from California or other high-cost markets, this type of new business model that you're promoting, it really resonates with me. Furthermore, I've been hoping for many years to promote a market that have some kind of military presence, and you are bringing that market to me in this particular place. And I'm very much familiar with the military installation. In case some of my members do not know, I spent 20 years in the U.S. Army, active duty, fully retired. I retired 20 years ago, and 2 duty stations I was stationed in, one in Fort Sam Houston, San Antonio, back in the mid-'80s, and the other one is in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. So Fort Campbell, Kentucky, outside Clarksville, Tennessee, that community is very similar to the community that you're promoting here in Oklahoma. And I know it's a military town, it's an anchor base, for example, a lot of great active duty soldiers we have the housing allowance to live off post that can pay.
You hit the nail on the head, right? And that's this builder's building to be right within what the housing allowance is for all these people serving. That way there is no out of pocket for them to rent these brand new properties.
Richard, I'll be honest, I'm super excited to promote this market. I can't wait because, like I said, when I was in active duty, I was in finance because I in-process and out-process soldiers. They come in and out. and I create a travel vouchers, and I help them to live off post to get the off post housing. So I give them the housing allowance. It's called Bachelor's Allowance for Housing, BA. That's a tax-free housing allowance active duty soldiers can live on. Look, this town we're promoting, this city, is not all military rentals. Of course, you have other, like you said, teachers near the place rent, like you just said. So it's a very good rental market. Yeah, I'm all in, and so I can't wait to promote this because what the investors going to get from high level, you're getting some fly mosquitoes biting you.
Yeah, you see me like slap myself in the face. For those of you who don't know, I haven't been home in almost 3 months, right? I race professionally. Our season starts, I leave in the RV with the wife and baby. And along the way, I've been visiting all my markets where I own real estate or where I do business with builders, developers. So anyways, I'm at a campsite now and these mosquitoes have been eating us alive. And there's these no-see-ums. You can't see them. And there's been one in here in my RV for like 3 days. And as I'm talking to you, I haven't seen it in 2 days, buzzing my face. And I'm like, trying to get it because I haven't seen it. Anyways, I'm living in my RV, visiting all these properties so that you guys don't have to. So hopefully you appreciate it.
Yeah. Richard, we really appreciate my members, my network. Appreciate what you're doing. You're doing the hardcore research. You're on the ground, vetted all the resources, the property managers, the builders, the community. I really appreciate what you're doing. And from a military perspective, what you're doing right now, if I put myself in a military language, you are doing advanced reconnaissance, recon. You are like me. I put yourself in my shoes that you're doing. When I was active duty, we do a lot of mission. Okay, we're soldiers. Okay, we're fighting people. Before we go out to our mission, we have an advanced recon team to size up the landscape to ensure what's going on ahead of time. That's what you're doing. So you're doing a lot of hard work out there, reconnaissance, and so you can find the proper market for out-of-state investors. And I really appreciate that. So great job, and we can't wait. So my question to you is, are you ready to accept any kind of deposit? And if so, what?
Yeah, there's properties hitting the ground already that are available for purchase. That obviously, as I mentioned, anything that's done is rented, but they're properties that are gonna be completed anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks, 3 months out. Single family homes at 150, duplexes, I think we're at like 320. They're moving very quickly. Obviously, you can imagine at these price points. And the single family homes come with 1 year free management. Both the single family and the duplexes come with a 3% seller credit. The duplexes do have management fees on those. There's a different management company that they're utilizing who've been in that area for 30 years, 40 years. Very good strategic play for them by them. Those do have management fees. But overall, Seewing does have some pro formas he can share with you. They are fantastic. Even as a cash purchase, they're amazing. Cool thing, send down $35,000 total investment. You too can be an investment property owner.
Yeah. What's the earnest deposit? What's the earnest deposit to reserve one property?
Generally $5,000.
So one were to reserve the property, wait until the completion in a few weeks. Then the houses have a permit ready. Then the investor can do the loan and close escrow within 30 to 45 days normally, right?
Correct.
You can come back. We can do a follow-up video.
Yeah, we'll do a follow-up and have some more specific data on the market. This is just, I know Seewing was very excited, and as am I, to share this information with everyone. So the interim, reach out to us directly, but do look out for a part 2 where we could probably share some of the video and some of the pro formas. But the properties are available. The pro formas are ready. So reach out to Seewing and he will get that information over to you.
Let me do another recap. Let me do a numerical and high-level recap. My understanding is this emerging new market is next to a military installation. I know very well. I know the mission of the military installation, by the way. I have a lot of friends that were stationed here when I was in active duty. So I know the area quite well. And I know there's a high percentage of people are active duty soldiers or renting this kind of properties. I get it. But active duty soldiers makes the best renter because they have the actual housing allowance to pay the rent and they can't screw it up. If there's a military family stay in one duty station for at least 3 to 4 years. So that could be your tenant for 3 to 4 years straight. And they make the best high quality tenant because they are under the military jurisdiction, so they can't screw it up. What investors are getting? They're getting a new construction product, which you cannot get anywhere else. Most entry level new construction homes are either like $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 in other part of the country. For you and I to hear an entry level new construction single family home for only $150K, that is unheard of. So we are venturing into something that's so exciting in an emerging market, great rental market. It's not really a trophy market, at least not just yet. It's rural later on down the line. The economic driver will improve along the way. The investors are getting a very affordable product, cash flow 20% down, like a couple $100 monthly positive cash flow. And because of new construction, the maintenance is very low over the years. We got some nice incentive, like you mentioned, the closing cost concession. And have you spoke about any kind of warranty, 1 year warranty or anything like that? On top of that, anything like that?
I'll have to double check. I think it all goes by state law. I'm pretty sure it's a 2-year, 210 warranty. I'll have to double check specifics on that.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Very exciting. New construction duplex for $320K. That is unheard of. And with the cash return, with the rent to value ratio, almost 1%, cash on cash return, maybe 7-8%. And it just makes sense. Numerically speaking, it's a great portfolio for our investors to use 20% down on a single family home minimum and 25% down minimum on a duplex. People can buy several of these financing, or they can buy all cash, or they can use a self-directed IRA to buy these two products. I call it slam dunk because it's a nice portfolio for people to buy in whole long term. So yeah, did I miss anything? Did I recap everything?
No, I think we covered everything. I just told the builder he's going to need to step up his inventory. I think there's going to be a lot of interest. There already has been a lot of interest, but I think there's going to be a lot more interest on this product. Once again, it serves the right community, the right price point. Also, keep in mind, not that I think we're in a shaky economy, but when there are downturns in the economy, you don't want to be stuck in the types of homes that people move down from. You want to own the type of homes that people move down to. And that's definitely what these types of homes are. They're the homes that people move down to. So even if you lose your tenant base, there's a whole new tenant base that have been affected by the economy that move down into it. So they tend to be pretty resilient regardless of what's happening in the macro or micro economy.
Like I said, military renters are recession proof. The government have guaranteed money to pay your rent. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
Of course, there are other renters, not just military is a good percentage of the renters, but there are other regular
I think it's somewhere around 30% is what I heard. I don't remember the source, so don't hold me to that, but it's a decent percentage. The whole town there is built around the military base. I think the population in the town's 4,000. Population military base is 48,000 or something. So
right.
Give you an idea of the military presence.
By the way, since I know this military base quite well over many decades when I was in active duty, this base is going to be around forever because their mission is critical to Americans' defense force. So just want to keep that in mind.
They're doing a lot of the like robotics and all that type of stuff here, right? From my understanding, a lot of the tech stuff, the heavy focus.
They have artillery, cannons and guns and weapons. That's what they do. They do and they are venturing into the high-tech equipment.
They are, yeah. In fact, I remember driving past a military contractor overtook this old strip mall that used to be a Macy's or something. And I'll get more information on that for the next one, but there is a big tech push right now at this military base. What happened in like Huntsville, stay tuned on that. There may be a lot of growth happening.
Yeah, whenever there's a military base, they are supporting jobs, a civilian job. You have defense contractors. You have the defense industry that have companies surrounding the base to support the services. So you have a lot of civilians out there that are coming in for jobs, for stability, to support the military base. And also, based on my research, this location in Oklahoma, this market, I believe is like 2.5 hours north of Dallas Metro, Texas, and 45 minutes southeast of Oklahoma City. Am I right or wrong?
Correct.
So this region of the U.S. is a Sun Belt in the south to southeast region is growing. The migration, high price markets in many major metros in Texas and Florida and few other southern markets, people being priced out. So I could see slowly, steadily, people moving into this type of towns for lower affordability and high quality of living and blue collar, hardworking blue collar people that makes a great tenant base. So that's my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else to add, Richard?
We about covered it. Like I said, we'll do a part two, get a little more specific. In the meantime, if you need information, reach out to Seewing. Like I said, there is inventory available, closing soon, and excited to see how the product grows more across various markets.
Very good, Richard. Looking forward to present this market for my members. I will reach out to my VIP members out there, and it's a great product to add to someone's real estate portfolio, and for the reasons we just stated. So thank you for your time. I know you're working so hard. Really appreciate that, Richard. Thank you so much. We'll see you next video for more details.